Hi everyone, welcome back to my cooking show. This could be my last one. Anyway, we've been looking at commercially made biscuits. So I've made Monte Carlos before, so today I'm going to attempt to make Arnott Scotch fingers, which are my husband, Mr. Young's favourite biscuits. So we're going to attempt to make them exactly the same as the Arnott's ones that you buy in the shop. I'm going to be quite surprised by the amount of sugar in it. So our first step is we need to line and grease a biscuit slice tin. We need to preheat our oven to 160 degrees. Okay, so this is quite a simple recipe according to the information that I've got. Oh, by the way, have a look at my hair. You can't see it. My girlfriend's been making, while the virus is on, she's been making hats for nurses and doctors in hospitals, and she thought she'd make me one for the kitchen instead of tying my hair back and trying to use hair nets, which are a bit disposable. So I've got this one now, and she's chosen my favourite flower to make it the pattern of the material, so it's a hydrangea. Anyway, so I look a bit crazy, but I think it's a really good idea. So the first thing we're going to need, as I said, is to grease our tin and heat our oven. Then we need 175 grams of softened butter. There's not many ingredients, 2/3 of a cup of icing sugar. We need a cup of plain flour, and we need 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Baking powder, not soda, sorry, baking powder. And then all we have to do is we have to beat the butter and the sugar in until it is creamy. And that doesn't take too long. So I've put the butter and I've softened the butter a bit in the microwave. And then I'm going to add the icing sugar. And this hopefully won't. I'm going to do it on low. I'm going to cream it. So that's actually in our cake making booklet we were doing the creaming method. So I'm just going to put it on low to start with, just to get it mixing a bit. And we're going to cream that until it blends together. And see how I'm just starting it up a little bit at a time. If you haven't got an electric beater like this, you can do it by hand. You'll just need a bit of muscle. Alright, I'll come back in a minute when this is done. Because you don't want to be watching this for too long. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, that should have taken about 2 minutes, but it's a really cold day today, so my butter was a bit harder than anticipated. So it should be nice and light and fluffy and creamy. And then what we have to do is to just sift in our cup of flour according to the recipe. And we need to sift in our 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Oops, I've got a little bit of a mess happening here. Okay, so I've had to take that and I'm just sifting that through. And sifting it will give a bit of lightness to it, and it'll mix the baking powder and the plain flour together. Rightio, pop that back underneath. Now you can do this with a spoon or your hands even, or if you've got an electric beater, just put it on slow. And we've got to mix this together now, just on slow, to make a dough, a biscuit dough. So I'm going to do this slowly and I'll be back. Okay, that's been beating now for a few minutes. It was probably a little bit drier than I expected, so I had to add a little bit more butter, but not a lot, and the butter was softened. So now I've got like this dough consistency, and our next job is to press this into our pan. Now I thought it was going to make more than this, but doesn't actually look that much, so I probably will only use about half my tin. I'll move that out of the way so you can see. So now, using a spatula, I've got to spread this out into this tin. So I need to get as much mixture out as I can, because there isn't a whole lot there. But I've double checked the recipe and this is what it said. So I've never made this before, so this is a big experiment. Might be a total disaster. Okay, so I've got that out. It's quite into a nice dough. Let's hope I haven't added too much butter now to make it soft. Okay, rightio. So I'm just going to take a little bit of paper to help me spread that out. So it's a bit like a shortbread consistency, if you've ever made shortbread. So we're going to press this out into the tin. And it's really not making many at all. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to make about half a tin loaf, I think. Maybe I'll just stick to buying these biscuits because I thought this would be quick and easy. Okay, that is looking quite disastrous. Okay, it's quite thin, so I'll get it into a nice square sort of shape. It said it was going to make 16 biscuits, but I'm going to double check the recipe. Okay, so I've pressed it into the tin into a sort of square shape. We'll see what happens. And this now has to cook in the oven for 25 minutes. Okay, so it looks a bit buttery. I may have added a bit too much butter. We'll see how we do it. And in it goes. Okay, it's been in the oven for 25 minutes, so it should be nice and golden. And when I open it out, it is. Looking at it, I probably should have spread it out a bit more, but I think it'll be okay. Now, this is quite a tricky bit. So what we have to do now, don't take it out of the tin, is we have to cut it into the size of the biscuits that we want, even while it's hot. So take a sharp knife, and remember, Arnott Scott finger you snap in half. So I'm going to cut my biscuits all the way through, quite large. So I've at this point made 8 biscuits. Then what I've got to do is at this point you can put your patterns in. So I found this, see if I can, nope, that's not going to work. So I thought it might make a shape, but it didn't. Now our next thing is we take spatula or our knife, and this time, and I'll just show you what I've done. So I've cut them into 8 squares all the way through. Now I only cut half the way. So that's when those biscuits will snap in half. And this is when we can do any decoration that we need. So in Arnott Scotch fingers, they have the name written in it. And that's why I was using this, because I thought I might be able to imprint a pattern, but it's not going to work. So we'll repeat that again. I've cut it into all the way through here and all the way through there. So that's that. And here. And I made those 8 large biscuits. And then using the knife or the spatula, I've only gone halfway through, so that then they'll snap when they cool. So you have to leave them in the tin now to cool for 10 to 15 minutes before you take it out of the tin and put it on the cooling rack. So we'll be back in 10 to 15 minutes and we'll hopefully, fingers crossed, see how they work. They've cooled about 10 to 15 minutes, so I'm going to carefully take them out of the tin. And what you'll see happen is you see how they're dividing just like into 4. So we should be able to, I'll take this end one as the experiment, and then just like a Scotch finger we should be able to snap it open and you get an extra biscuit. So I'm going to put one there. There's the others. So we've got a picture of the whole ones and then the ones that are snapped. I'm going to use my best ones, of course, to put on my display plate. And probably got room for another one. Okay, so there's our Scotch fingers. They don't look exactly like the ones in the shop, but I think they'll be yummy, and I'll put a lovely rose there to make them look even prettier. So we've got the whole one, and when someone comes along, they'll be able to pick it up and snap one off. Voila! Happy cooking!